Welcome, everybody. It is 1 o'clock on April 21st, 2021, and I am Jana Hexter, and I'm delighted to welcome you to our Toolbox webinar on IPM outreach to the Latino farming community. I think it's going to be fascinating, and I look forward to hearing everything that Maria has to share with us. So before we get into the presentation today, I'm going to just cover a few housekeeping things. So if you could move to the next slide, please. A recording of this is available, and it takes us usually a few days to edit it and to send it on to you. And anyone who's registered for this webinar will get an email from me with a copy of the link to the recording. So probably look for it middle of next week, and you should have an email from me. And it's also available on our website as they're produced. I put up on this link. Next slide, please. All right, we love questions. We love for this to be interactive. And we ask that you can submit questions in a particular way. Instead of using the chat feature, we ask that you use the Q&A feature. And so if you put your mouse over Zoom, you'll see the bar at the top or the bottom. And somewhere in there, there is one button that says Q&A, and there's like two little rectangles. And if you click on there, you can ask questions, and you can do so anonymously, so you don't have to have your name linked with it. It helps us keep track, especially when there are a lot of questions. It helps us keep track of similar types of questions and which ones have been answered. And so we ask that you use that feature. And please do ask lots of questions. And we have several breaks for us to dive in and ask your queries of Maria. Next slide, please. I'm delighted to introduce our presenter, Maria Gogo. She's an extension educator with Penn State Extension. She's based out of Chester and Berks counties, and she conducts educational programs in the areas of vegetable, small fruit and mushroom production, green industry, IPM solutions, FSMA, GAP and farm food safety, and beginning farmers and pesticide safety for various agricultural industries in Pennsylvania. That is quite, quite an expansive expertise and range. For the last 10 years, Maria has been adapting new, culturally appropriate trainings and outreach materials and assessing the needs of the Latino community. So next slide, please. And I will allow Maria to introduce Itzel, her, who's also working with her, so she can go back to that. And before we begin the presentation, we have some questions for you. So if you could go to the next slide, please, and you should see a poll that pops up on your screen. There we go. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. I think there's 5 questions, and then we'll share the results once they're in. All right, I'm going to end it and share the results. Most of the people are not part of the Latino community on this call, and most people are interested in reaching out to the Latino community in the near future, and some of you actually are. The preponderance of people are involved in vegetable industry, but there's actually quite a good range. If you see that, there's quite a good range of lots of different areas. 94% of people are not at all knowledgeable about what Penn State is doing, so you are in the right place. And that probably makes Maria very happy. Most people are very aware or moderately aware of the need for bilingual educators, but not at all knowledgeable about the career opportunities that Extension offers for bilingual students. So sounds like this is a perfect place for you all to be. And with that, I will open the floor to Maria and for her presentation. And feel free, if questions pop up for you during while she's speaking, just pop them in the Q&A and we'll ask as they come along. Okay.
Thank you very much, Jana. I'm delighted to be here today. There's a lot of things to share about what we are doing in Penn State. We are also collaborating with other universities, mainly in the Mid-Atlantic. And some of the initial work that we did was funded by the Northeastern IPM Center as well. So With that, I'm going to start with the presentation. Good afternoon. Welcome to the session about Penn State available resources for Latino farmers in Pennsylvania. With the Hispanic population growing in size and strength, Latinos will impact the future of our society and will play an important role in the future of agriculture in America. There are currently many Latinos working in the ag field. Latinos' role will increase in importance, in leadership, and in numbers. So I would like to share with you some important Latino demographic statistics that we have at the national, regional, and state levels. According to 2010 National Census, Hispanics of all races are the largest minority in the country, representing 16% of the total US population, which is about 50.5 million people in the country. Between 2000 and 2010, and we're still waiting for the 2020 census, the Hispanic population grew by 43%, accounting for 55.5% of the nation's growth since 2000. This rate is quite remarkable, particularly considering that the growth rate of the total population of the United States during the same time frame was 9.7%. So 43% versus 9.7% of the total population. So this is 4 times the growth rate of the total population. As of 2016, the entire population in Pennsylvania was over 12 million people. The Latino population in Pennsylvania reached 6.8% in 2015. And in Lucerne County, as you can see here in this graphic that the Pew Research Center put together, Lucerne County is one of the top 10 fastest growing counties of the Latino population in the whole entire country. Among occupational groups in 2014, 43.4% of workers in farming, fishing, and forestry were Hispanic or Latino. Other occupations with high shares of Hispanics or Latinos were building and grounds, cleaning and maintenance occupations, and construction. Hispanic or Latinos were least likely to work in life, physical, and social science occupations, and in computer and mathematical occupations. This table is a comparison of occupations among Hispanics and non-Hispanics. As you can see, only 2% of the population in the US works in agriculture. The entire population of the US works in agriculture, only 2% of them. And out of which 75% are Latinas. It is estimated that depending on the industry, between 75 to 90% of the farm workers are Latinos. For example, where I work, in Chester County, Berks County, and in general in Pennsylvania, 90% of the workers in the mushroom industry are Latinos. And in the apple industry, which is 3rd in the country, I think that in size is Washington State, then New York, and then Pennsylvania. In the apple industry, 1st or 2nd generations Latinos make up the majority of the fruit industry workforce, and many of them have moved into management positions. But Latinos are not only farm workers, they are also farm owners. According to the 2019 report of the 2017 US Department of Agriculture Census, the number of Latinx principal agricultural operators in the country now stands at 112,451, which is up from 90,344. This is about a 24% increase from 2012. The census results also show that there are thousands of other minority farmers who identify themselves as American Indians, Asians, Blacks, Pacific Islanders, and a lot of other races. The Ag Census reports that the average age of farmers in the US has increased to 57.5 years old, and the number of new and beginning farmers has not been keeping up with the number of those who are retiring in the US. Latino farm workers are already skilled and they are becoming farm owners, but the Latinx farm workers face a great variety of challenges when they try to start their own farms, including language barriers, lack of knowledge about the market, And for those who are undocumented, the inability to access government resources such as subsidies and grants from the USDA agencies. In addition, Latino farmers often see the USDA solely as a regulatory agency and not a source of resources and loans, because Latino growers are culturally separated from the type of farmers working with the USDA. So they don't always know about these opportunities. Do we have any questions?
There are no questions yet. I have a couple of questions, but let's hold on to them because I'd like to hear more about what you're doing in Pennsylvania, and I think our questions will naturally grow out of that. So thank you.
Okay. So what is Extension doing to address these challenges? Penn State Extension is actively reaching out to Latinos and providing statewide educational programs to Spanish-speaking farm owners and employees throughout the state. The increasing demand of these programs due to the higher number of Latino operators or workers is faced nationally, not only in Pennsylvania, but nationally by low numbers of bilingual extension educators. Extension educators also need cultural proficiency to serve minority audiences, and we need to break the barriers in order for us to effectively reach and teach. So some examples of the things that we're doing is increasing Spanish programming with educational materials and trainings in English and Spanish. We're also providing professional development in cultural competency for extension educators. We are hiring more bilingual extension educators. There's still a lot of room for improvement, but we're, there's more people now than there used to be. Improving diversity also within the college. Also, we are assisting and supporting new minority farmers, and we are recruiting minority students who will later work for government agencies and educational institutions. There are recent trainings offered by Penn State Extension. We conducted needs assessments, interviews to understand the demographic of those who attend our trainings, and we found out that over 60% of the attendees have family farms in their native countries, but less than 3% are currently growing vegetables and fruit as part-time farmers in the US. And 65% of them expressed that they would like to be growers or specialized managers. So as the United States becomes more multicultural, Penn State College of Agricultural Sciences expanded its service for culturally diverse groups due to recurrent demographic changes and Latino's role in all sectors of society. We have increased our programming for the Latino community. In order to address these changes, 3 years ago, we formed the Latinx Agricultural Network that we call LAN. And it consists of graduate students, extension educators, faculty, and administrators who seek to enhance Penn State engagement with its Pennsylvania Latinx stakeholders. With support mainly from grants, we established LAN as an ad hoc advisory group of Latinx community leaders whom were invited to participate with Penn State extension educators, faculty, students, and administrators in a strategic planning meeting on September 2019. The goal was to help determine how Penn State Extension would collaborate with Latinx stakeholders to support professional development and productivity, facilitate satisfaction in their workplaces, and promote a high quality of life. Also, in one of our recent research studies, we worked to understand how adults learn. And the goal was to develop extension educational programming that were specific to adult learner needs and preferences. We conducted a survey and participants expressed that they like a variety of educational methods. Their top choices were active learning techniques such as on-farm demonstrations, study circle networks, tours of other growers' farms, self-paced interactive online courses and videos, and also interactive workshops. They also expressed that they like a mix of educational formats, such as fact sheets and production guides. We have produced several, we have many more in English, but we have translated several alternative fact sheets in Spanish. And throughout the College of Agricultural Sciences, we have translated, I would say, 30% of the available educational materials that we have in English. And we'll continue to translate the backlog and to translate for sure new educational materials. Another thing that we have done in extension is the Pennsylvania Integrated Pest Management Program, which has been a program within Penn State for, I would say, 25 years. The Pennsylvania Integrated Pest Management Program goal is to implement IPM, Integrated Pest Management, in both agricultural and urban situations, because pests and misuse of or abuse of pesticides can pose serious risks to people's health and the environment. So if you look at this chart, you can see that asthma is a leading chronic disease affecting children in the United States. About 6.5 million children in the United States have asthma. And the burden of asthma falls heavily on Black and Hispanic children. And Hispanic children are almost twice as likely to be hospitalized for asthma as white children. How is this related to IPM? Well, because rodents and cockroaches trigger asthma attacks. So this is there's direct correlation with the level of poverty, the situation where they live. So these children, especially children or sometimes adults as well, will have more rates of asthma than other people that don't live in a similar situation. Think about, buildings or houses that have cracks and crevices, and rodents and cockroaches can get in, moisture situation in these buildings or houses, and therefore there's a lot of room for urban IPM to help with this problem. There's also another thing is that in addition, people use chemicals inside and outside their homes with little thought for safety or personal protection, right? Here we can see in this picture, they have Raid with coffee cups or any other kitchen supplies. Like no matter, they don't think that this is a problem, correct? And here they're applying fertilizers in the lawn. There might be applying herbicides as well. Here you can see this person without any PPE, nothing that will protect them from whatever chemicals they're applying. So this is a big problem as well. So what we did, we started back in 2013, and this project was initially funded back in 2013 by the Northeastern IPM Center. The first phase of this initiative included translation of the website, educational materials and presentations, but everything that we accomplished had to be distributed in the community. So here's when we sought the help of program partners, and we created a Latino community IPM partnership and a sustained statewide and region-wide urban IPM outreach effort, including Latino organizations, government agencies, consulates, media, private companies, and Spanish-speaking individuals. Also, we have USDA, the EPA, Rutgers University, the Poison Control Center at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and many other organizations that you can see. There are many community-based organizations that are Latinos that we engage with. They became our partners, and we were able to reach 76,000 people in about 3-4 years. So you can see we develop and deliver over 100 hours worth of trainings, workshops, seminars, and health fairs, TV shows, and radio interviews participation. And as a result, we reach out to 76,000 individuals, empowering with the knowledge of IPM and pesticide education. In agriculture, as we mentioned before, Hispanics are in need of similar trainings. Twice a year, we conduct pesticide meetings in Spanish, so participants can obtain foreign category credits to maintain a pesticide applicator license. This is with the mushroom industry in Chester County. In collaboration with the Pesticide Education Program, we conduct a free pesticide applicator license study course in Spanish to help Spanish-speaking employees with focus on program content of the Pennsylvania Pesticide Certified Applicator exam, as well as exam testing skills. I believe in New York, the situation is the same as in Pennsylvania. Most of the states in the United States only offer the pesticide applicator license exam only in English, except for California, and I think there are a couple of other states, Oregon. This becomes a problem for Latino people that would like to become applicators, because and kind of grow in the ladder of their professional development, because it's really hard for them to take the exam in English. So what we did is we designed this course, which is the same course that we provide in English, but in addition, we help them to understand the content of the manual. And this course is for somebody that is bilingual enough to be able to, so we do the course in Spanish, but then we also help them to understand everything in English. And we have grants for this. And what we do is we give them the manuals in Spanish, and then we also give them the manuals in English, because ultimately they will have to take the exam in English. So the idea is they understand and they can ask questions. They feel more comfortable when they can ask questions in Spanish. So we do the class in Spanish, but then we review everything in English. The other thing is that we help them with testing skills. Many times in the US, it's children start doing multiple choice exams when they're probably in 3rd grade, but it's not the case in other countries. So this can be very challenging for somebody who has never done a multiple choice test. So what we do is we go over the test and we show them how to fill out everything, the bubbles and strategies, how to take a multiple choice test. And this has been very helpful to help them, pass the exam. But ultimately, the best scenario would be to have the exam in Spanish, just as we have, a driver license test in Spanish. But for now, we're doing this to help them. We're also offering on-farm trainings in Spanish on integrated pest management basics, fly life cycles, personal protective equipment, fungal disease life cycles, and other topics based on current needs. This is for the mushroom industry, but we're doing this for all the industries, tree fruit, upper growers, vegetable growers. Whoever needs us, we help them. Also with the green industry, landscaping, nurseries, they have a lot of Latino workers. Another thing we have been working on is with the mushroom industry is, so in the past, I would say 6 years, the mushroom industry has a problem with forage flies. There are 2 big pests for mushroom crops, and it's forage and tiare flies. But in the past 6 years, the forage flies have become a really important pest, not only for crop yield, but also because it's invading people's homes. And in this case, the mushroom farms are really close to suburban areas, or they are located in suburban areas outside Philadelphia, the South. And sometimes this has been a problem since prior to 2012, diazinon was used to control these flies, but in 2012, the Environmental Protection Agency repealed the use of diazinon on mushroom farms. So therefore, now the farmers have no effective control to, in addition to other cultural IPM tactics, they don't have any other effective control to eliminate these flies. The other problem is that even though they implement exclusions, mushrooms grown indoors, they're windows, there are doors, but these flies are so tiny that there's no screen that probably can keep them away. And also the other problem is that the population grows exponentially. So the scientific name is Megacilia alterata. It's a mushroom forage fly. There are several forage flies, but this is a mushroom forage fly. it only, the larvae eats only mushroom mycelia. Contrary to what people were thinking, they are not reproducing in the homes because there is no mycelia, right? They only eat the mycelia that will be in the mushroom soil. And then they don't live in the houses, they don't live on drains or in the yards. Normally these adult flies will live about 4 or 5 days, and the life cycle, since they are larvae, it's about 22 to 24 days on the farms. Also, we know they're attracted to light. We know that they are attracted to light, that they like to be very active during dawn and dusk, and that they like to go up. So the mushroom farms normally have 2 floors, first floor and the second floor. So it's going to be more, they're going to have more problems in the second floor or in the attic if they have one. They're also prone to desiccation, so they like to be in humidity. So that's why, and sometimes in the houses, they're going to be found more often in bathrooms or in the kitchen. And they can fly, but mainly they can't fly long distances, so they're mainly blown to the neighborhoods by the wind. So this bug has become a very important nuisance in the south part of Pennsylvania, and it's, we are actively working on IPM methods to help them control this problem, not only for the farmers, but also for the residents. And another important thing is that these flies do not sting, they do not bite, and they do not vector any diseases, human diseases. They do vector, this is for the mushrooms, but not for humans. So in the entomologists, the research team and extension, we are looking for ways to suppress the mushroom for the fly populations. We have been testing new insecticides in the lab. And then in order to see if that they actually work, we're doing field trials. And the last part of this would be this program would be to make sure that the farmers adopt these new insecticides or these new protocols, IPM protocols, to control the flies. So we tested some insecticides that are will glue to statically charged screens, and these are powder pesticides. And they work very well in the system. So basically, these are like screens that go on the windows. And we tried many different ones, and we were trying to find the ones that were less harmful for the environment and for the workers, and also for the crop. And in this case, we found there is a FIFRA 25 B exempt insecticide that is called Ecovaya wettable dust that can be applied to that screen. And as you can see, it's very, very effective, not only when it's applied, but also has a very important residual effect 30 days after. So we're really happy because we don't really need to find any other, we found an insecticide that is FIFRA 25 be exempt, and we don't need to get an extra label authorization from EPA. They can use it right away. So we did the field trial of these new insecticides, and what we did find out is that first of all, we had to look at the behavior of these the flies to make sure that we were applying Ecovaya when it was necessary and where it was necessary. So we realized that the flies were leaving the rooms to go outside, and that they were entering the growing rooms from the outside, and that they not necessarily die all during the winter. They can stay, as you know, I don't know if you know, but mushroom production is year-round production. They can recreate the temperature and humidity that they need for the mushroom to grow 12 months a year inside of mushroom houses. So, but it does help during the winter. If we have a really cold winter, it does help to reduce the population of the flies, even though they can still reproduce inside without going outside. So what we had to do is, in order to make sure that these flies would contact this ecovaya, is to target all the exit and entry points to the mushroom houses. And that's why this screen was installed in all the windows and doors, as you can see here. So these windows were redesigned and outfitted with electrostatic screening, and ecovaya was applied to the screens. And then we have to monitor every week. As you can see, first we had a lot of flies, but then they have much less. When do we apply this? As needed. And the workers are trained to watch the fly behavior on the screens daily, and they know when they need to apply again. As you can see, it's very effective. It's killing the flies. And then after a couple of weeks, we didn't have any more flies. So it's really actually working very well. And it's an insecticide that is not, is one of the least harmful that we can possibly use. So we are using an integrated pest management program with exclusion as much as possible. But in this case, it was necessary to use some type of insecticide as the last resort. So there are some pros and cons, like always, but one of the good things is that ecovaya is very cheap, that is easy to apply, and we are not really applying the pesticide to the crop, it's applied to a screen on the windows. The cons are that you need the farmers need a dedicated worker that is going to be applying the ecovaya and also monitoring the flies. And that also the protocol has to be properly designed for each farm, because farms are very, very different. The way that they grow the mushrooms might differ as well. So everything has to be kind of designed specifically customized for each farm. So this is taking time. And what we are trying to convey to the farmers is that the earlier they start, then there's not going to be any buildup of populations. This winter, it was colder than other winters, so therefore we're starting with a smaller population of flies. But so if they start now to even keep the level of population really low, it's going to help them to avoid the buildup. All these things, as I mentioned before, 90% of the workers in the mushroom industry are Hispanic. So therefore, many of them speak English, yes, but some of them don't. So all these programs, all these trainings, all these protocols have to also be taught in Spanish. Once we finalize, for now, we're doing like, we are in the research stage. But once we finalize, we will have to teach everybody in Spanish as well. So the take-home messages is that impactful research takes time. We first had to learn more about the mushroom flies, and we had to learn more about the protocols that the industry were using to grow the mushrooms, and we had to make more industry connections. But we did achieve significant reductions in 2 test farms this season. And in the future, we are going to engage with more farms in order to try to help control this pest as much as possible. We have conducted many trainings already online. hopefully, due to COVID, due to the pandemic, we have not been able to go to the farms as often as we used to. But we're hoping that this summer or in the fall, we can all go back to normal and be able to be in the farms more often. Okay, so another thing I wanted to talk about is we discussed, going back to my main topic about the different formats that we're delivering, educational programming for Pennsylvania Latino growers and farmers and farm workers, is that they said that one of the things that they really like is study circle networking. And we started this back in 2010. They like to share experience, they like to compare field results, and also they generate new ideas. They also like to do self-paced interactive online courses and videos. Penn State, especially now with the pandemic, we have developed a lot of courses and videos online that were also made available in Spanish. Another thing we're doing in Penn State Extension is we're conducting bilingual farm safety trainings. As you know, the agriculture industry has after I believe the construction industry has the second highest rate of accidents in the workforce or in the workplace. So we're doing trainings on how to engage, there's a tractor that has how to be safe with the PTO, how to connect the implements, how to drive and work around a skid loader safely, same thing with tractors. So we're working with several different industries to provide farm safety in Spanish. We also conducted bilingual farm food safety trainings. As you know, the Food Safety Modernization Act, FSMA, that was enacted in 2011 by President Obama, and now it's in full force. The vegetable growers, any produce, vegetable and fruit growers that grow fruit and vegetables that are consumed raw need to comply with the requirements of FSMA, the produce safety rules. So we're conducting a lot of different trainings in Spanish about on our good agricultural practices, but also we are providing the required produce safety rule in Spanish for the growers. So I mentioned before that in Extension, we are hiring more extension educators that are bilingual, but we don't have enough. So the only way to be able to accomplish all this is to coordinate with different educators in different teams. And for example, I work for the horticulture team, and also work for the food safety team. But in order to help other teams or units within Extension, we help each other. So I have conducted, and other Extension educators that are bilingual as well have conducted trainings that are now within their normal job description, let's put it that way, but we help each other. So that we do risk management trainings, applicator certification trainings, supervisory trainings, and FSMA certification, all in collaboration. Also, in the summer of this last summer, we conducted 5 interactive webinars that apologize. In partnership with health providers and the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. I will try to tell him to stop barking. 1 second.
Maybe this is a good time just to ask a couple of questions, because maybe that will allow the mailman to go by. Jim O'Connell, he had said the pesticide exam is definitely an area of opportunity in New York. The current intermediate is a special licensing exam, which allows Spanish-speaking farm workers to apply restricted use pesticides under supervision. Did you work with the state pesticide authority to get the exam in Spanish, or did you help improve farm worker English language competency to take the exam?
Well, we started by doing what we can, which is to provide as much information and testing skills for those workers that are bilingual enough to be able to take the test in English. In Pennsylvania, still the test is in English. It's not available in Spanish. We are in conversation with the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. We raised, the concern that it would be important to make this test available, but it's not available yet in Spanish. So mainly what we're doing is providing training.
Okay. And then next couple more questions. You mentioned that 30% of the materials in Pennsylvania have been translated into Spanish. And that struck me as being a low number, and it makes me realize the other states it's probably much lower than that. So do you have a sense of how much extension materials are generally available in Spanish as well as English?
In other states?
Mm-hmm.
Probably 5%. I mean, this is the work of 10 years of trying to catch up with this. And as far as we know, there are not many other universities in the Mid-Atlantic region that are, let's put it this way, as well also organized as we are, and this has to be an intentional effort. It has to be, in Penn State Extension, what we call, the supervisors of each unit, let's say, the horticulture team, the dairy team, we're divided into different units or teams, dairy, poultry, horticulture, agronomy, and they all understand the importance of making this available for Latino growers, for Latino farmers, for the farm workers. It became very clear that if we want to increase our audience, especially now that we can do it online, it's a very easy way to increase your audience if you're reaching out to an audience that you normally never did. So if you're thinking about numbers, if you're thinking about profits, and well, there's so much you can grow the traditional grow audience. It's always very, it's always going to work trying to reach a new audience. That is, in my case, it's my passion. It's my, it's not, I don't do this because I want to have bigger numbers. I do it because I think it's right. It's our mission. It's our mission to reach and teach. And the numbers tell you the percentage of, growth of the Latino population is telling you what is going to happen. Just think that by 2050, 1 of every 3 people living in the United States is going to be Hispanic. That said, most of them are going to speak English, but it doesn't mean that there are things that need to be changed, that need to make sure that 1/3 of the population is included. This is very important for the future of our country. That said, I want to say, I can tell you who I am a little bit. I'm an agronomist. I was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I went to school there, and I moved here 20 years ago. So that puts me, I worked there as an agronomist. So that put me in a very, particular situation that I work international and I worked here, and I kind of understand both things. But yes, there's still a lot of things that can be done, even in Penn State. Yeah.
Great, thank Thank you. And I have one more question before we move on. You mentioned the Story Circle Network. What is the format for that? And how is it structured?
We did it for several years, and then now we have not done it for a couple of years, and we're conducting a survey now to get feedback from growers and see what kind of topics they would like to talk about. But basically, when we did it, it was mainly the growers would get together, and then there would be a topic that was important at that time. I don't know if there was a specific pest that was more important, or if there was a fungal disease that was more important, and it was discussed among the growers, sharing experiences and what was happening in their own farms. And us, the extension educators, we were just kind of guiding things. And if there was any specific production question, we would answer and help them with that. But the idea was to have them, kind of network among themselves.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. All right. So, well, it seems to have calmed the dog down. So mission accomplished there.
Yeah. All right. So this is something important that we have done in the past year. We developed posters and pamphlets in English and Spanish to communicate best practices and health services for agriculture employee protection from COVID-19. These new resources address the CDC and US Department of Labor interim guidance for agricultural workers and employers. And it says that the basic information and training about infection prevention should be provided to all farm workers in languages that they can understand. And this is available online in Spanish, and it can be downloaded. We also had a grant, and we provided free posters to most of the tree fruit and most of anybody that wanted the posters were able to provide in Pennsylvania. We also put together this bilingual downloadable brochure for farm workers, and it was about COVID-19 pandemic. What is COVID-19, how it's propagated, or what kind of references and resources they have. This was in the early stages, or by the summer of 2020. We're thinking that probably we're going to produce something similar now related to the vaccine. Like I said, in the pandemic, I'm sure it was the same for other universities. It's been a very long year. There was no slow time. We had to work hard. We were very well positioned, I think, in a way, because we already have the technology to do things online. But we worked really, really hard, and we were able to translate. Here it says 14. I think by now we have like 20 COVID-19 related articles that can be found online. We translated, again, here it says 12, probably like 25, 30 articles in Spanish related to commercial horticulture. We were currently translating into Spanish 10 Victory Gardens Reinvent webinar series. These are series that were designed for the public, not for growers, and how to grow any type of crop in their garden. And by the request of somebody in the Latino community, we are recording all these webinars in Spanish as well. They will be ready as soon as possible. We also translated 9 master garden containing gardening fact sheets. Also, and another team, the agronomy team, they translated several reports that they have done through the summer, and also other articles and fact sheets. There's another team called the Family and Consumer Sciences team, and they expanded their food and nutrition education program. They did several outreach programs, and they translated several educational materials. They also posted in their Facebook page. It's kind of the same thing. We also have a team called the vector-borne team. In Pennsylvania, has one of the highest rates of tick-borne diseases, and therefore they're currently, and they started a couple of years ago, to provide webinars in English about ticks and tick-borne diseases. And now we're trying to finalize the content, but the goal is this summer to offer these webinars in Spanish as well. And like I mentioned before, on top of the study circles, and in the past, I would say, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but outside the United States, most of the people don't use text. When you're texting with your phone, they use WhatsApp, which is an app that you have in your phone, and it's international. It's all over the world. You can talk to somebody in Australia or in Germany or in Argentina, anywhere. And that's what, and even people in the same country use WhatsApp because there's no charge. So what we did is we created a network, a networking group using WhatsApp. So now they're communicating with each other and asking questions, and when they need us, we can also respond. Also, we have conducted a Spanish session at the Mid-Atlantic Fruit and Vegetable Convention in Hershey, Pennsylvania since 2009. So we've been doing this whole day session in Spanish, and it's mainly about fruit and vegetables, obviously, as the name of the convention says. But it's been very, very successful. Every year we have more people, and we provide all kinds of information, and we bring speakers from other states as well. And this year we had to do a smaller version, and we're just very happy that it's been so successful and it's helping so many people in the industry. And everybody's invited. See, anybody who wants to come to Pennsylvania to go to the Fruit and Vegetable Convention, which is a whole entire week in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Once on Wednesdays is when we have the session in Spanish. And as I mentioned before, last year it was, or this year, it was in online. We also conducted leadership trainings in Spanish for farm supervisors. This was at the request of tree fruit growers. As you know, when you, and I think this happens in every single, it doesn't matter if they speak English or Spanish, when we choose somebody in the farm to say, okay, so you're gonna, now we're gonna have some supervisor duties, and we choose them based on knowledge, you know, on the production, how well they know the crop that they're growing. But that person not necessarily knows how to manage people or to be a supervisor, to be a leader. So this was one of the requests that we had from the growers to have these leadership trainings. And we have 3 sessions in the afternoon every Friday, not every Friday, but 3 Fridays in January. And they were extremely successful to the point that they want us to conduct this once or twice a year. We also, as one of the collaborations that we did and with Penn State Extension, different units with the drinking water webinars. That webinar was one webinar that was very successful, and we are scheduling more webinars in the future. If people want to find out what we have in our extension website, you can do extension.psu.edu. Then it will say connect, and you can put your email there, and you will receive all kinds of information related to the topics that you are interested in. We also have multiple Facebook pages, not only for each county offices, but also for the units and teams. If you go to the extension website, I could show you how to use it, but probably we're running out of time. So if you just go to extension.psu.edu, and here you can type what you need. We also created, this is another pandemic result. if you want to say something like that, it's we say, okay, we have to stay connected with the growers. We need to stay connected with the community, the Latino community. So we created a Penn State Extension Agricultura en Español Facebook page. And we post there all the articles, upcoming trainings, or information from other universities that we know that would be important for the people to know. And it grew so much that we have, I think by now we have 150,000 followers, and half of them are from abroad, not just US, but also from other countries, because the information is relevant, right? Sometimes it's not relevant. Sometimes the information that will help only, people in Pennsylvania or in the United States. But we know many times we have international people signing up for our programs. And we're also present in social media. And also we Penn State Extension created a COVID-19 information webpage, and we were able to include the Recursos en Español square there, so people can find information. Not everything is translated, but related to COVID-19, most of the things are translated into Spanish. So we're very happy about that. All right, and I think that's about it. I don't know if there are any other questions.
There are, and but before we do that, because I know some people may have to jump off at the top of the hour for other meetings, we do have another poll that we would love to ask you about your response to the webinar. And so I can see if I can run that right now. There we go. All right, so it should be up on your screen. If you could, there's just a few questions. If you could just answer those, that would be great for us. And we will then continue. And there's a couple of other questions for Maria and some more materials for us to share with you. So I'll just be quiet for a minute while you do that. And Maria, if you look in the chat, there is a message for you from Jerry Hunch of Delaware.
Maria, I have the chat things queued up for you in an email, so I'll just send them to you so you don't have to respond now.
Okay, yeah, it's hard for me to see it when I'm...
Yep, no worries.
Okay, all right, thank you, Nancy.
Thank you. And my email address is mag38@psu.edu. If anybody of you would like to know more about this or need help with something or want to share my experience with how to increase your programming in your state, I would be happy to do it.
Yeah. I'm actually thinking that might be a wonderful follow-up webinar if you're willing to do it, as so I'm sure we've had lots of good comments from people saying how wonderful this was and what a great overview it is. So I think there's some people who are very interested in what you have to share. So, all right.
Wonderful.
I'll give it 30 more seconds. And Betsy Lamb said about the slides. They are going to be, they'll be posted on our website with the recording, Betsy. When we put up the recording, the slides are usually, there's a link to them at the same time. So yeah, because you had some great data in there, Maria. So, all right. And I heard that the new census data is coming out now, like the end of April. They were going to come out with some of the first census data from 2020. So all people that enjoy census data, it'll be exciting to see that come out.
Yeah, for us, it's important, all this data, because it backs up on the needs. Yeah.
Yep. So, all right, great. Okay, so we have 75% who've completed. So I will close it up and share. Excuse me. So most people are moderately or very knowledgeable, excellent, about what you're doing in Penn State, and more aware about the need for bilingual educators, and more knowledgeable about the career opportunities that are available, and How much did you increase your knowledge about how to develop an outreach program to engage Latino community? Moderate increase, some large and some very large, and slight. So that would be great. Okay, so we do have a couple of questions that came through. Someone said we've had a few people who've just sent chats or comments about how great this has been. So great presentation, Maria. Are the translated materials different depending on the diverse Hispanic audience in Pennsylvania? If not, have you found any issues since there are differences depending on the regions that they come from?
No, the answer is no. We try to translate in a very generic way. And I always put this, you know, as an example. There's a difference between differences in regions and dialects. A dialect is kind of a different language. But let's say, you know, in the US, in Canada, in Australia, New Zealand, in England, in Ireland, there are differences, right? But when you read a book in English, they don't have a specific book in English for Ireland, one for US. So there's a way to translate it generically, you know, and a proper way. And then when you do the trainings, yes, when we do the trainings, we kind of like, it's different. When we're one-on-one person, we can use more specific language of what that particular population will use. Like, for example, with the mushroom industry, most of them are from Mexico. So if I know the terminology, I would say it's not, you know, they just learn from us as well. You know, it's not always like, it's okay. There's no big problem about it. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. And I also had another question that had come in around resources that are available if other extension services in the US and specifically in the Northeast wanted to do more programming such as yours. Do you have any trainings or webinar, any information about how, or support for other people about how they could go about doing that?
We don't have any formal training, but we would be more than happy to show to talk with anybody, you know, that is interested in, number one, collaborating with us. That would be fantastic. I think if we can, you know, if we can partner with other universities, if we show, you know, the more, for example, just to give you an idea, we have, we're doing proposals now with Cornell, and this proposal is going to go to SDI and NIFA. So that is a more powerful proposal. We have more of a basis to say, okay, this is needed. So I would be more than happy to hear from anybody of you that are interested in collaborating with us. And if you need information to start your own program in your own state, we'll be more than happy to share what we have done, what has worked and what has not worked.
Okay. Terrific, thank you. So, yeah, I was saying that maybe this is also beginning of a conversation about regional collaboration in the Northeast around the Latinx community. So I think this presentation is eye-opening for a lot of people. So, all right, well, if you could move us up a couple of slides, that would be wonderful. And we've done that, we can skip to the next one. Great. So actually, this is perfect segue because we do have a page on our website called Find a Colleague, where you can network and find colleagues who are interested in similar topics in the Northeast. So there are two links. The top one is if you want to put up a profile about yourself. I don't know if Maria has put one up yet, but typically it's not too difficult. You can just put up a photograph, a little bio, and the kind of collaborations that you're interested in. And then also you could go to our website and see who have posted profiles. And it's for all kinds of folks, you know, it's for researchers, students, extension personnel, farmers, producers, growers. So it's broad ranging. And the idea is for exactly what Maria was talking about, of just increasing collaboration across the region around particular topics. And next slide, please. Oops, okay, it says Chick IPM webinar. So there is a recording of this webinar that is going to be available, and I will send you a link to that as soon as it's available. It probably will not be this week, but it'll be the middle of next week. And if you could go forward one more slide, that would be great. Wonderful. And I do want to acknowledge our funder, which is USDA NIFA. Without their support, none of this would be possible. They funded some of the work that Maria has shared today, and they fund our center and other regional centers. And I also want to thank Maria. I can just, the amount of effort, work, and passion that has gone into this presentation is huge. And in terms of your career, your education, but also the advocacy. I can hear that you've been advocating for years for what you believe to be a good and true path forward for a lot of people. So thank you for that work, and thank you for the expertise that's gone into this, and the time you've taken to give us a presentation today. So thank you.
I want to thank you, Jenna, and also the Northeastern IPM Center for the support that we had for so many years, and also for this opportunity to share what we're doing.
Terrific, wonderful. Well, with that, I will say thank you to everybody, and appreciate your attention, your questions, and there's more kudos coming in on the chat. So, which Maria will see when we download it for her. So with that, we do have another webinar, a toolbox webinar that is scheduled on urban IPM and cockroaches and mice, and some new research that's coming out of Rutgers, and that's going to be on May 6th, I believe. And so if you're on our email list, you will be hearing more about that. So with that, thank you very much for everybody attending, and we look forward to seeing you at another session.